Good day everyone and welcome back to Can I Launch a Movement in 12 Weeks? Last week I shared a little bit about the vision and the movement I'm currently building, and I said this week we're going to go into something called designing the movement ecosystem. And I'm really excited to share a little bit about what it actually looked like, and that's the first thing you want to do before you just go in and start building things. You really want to get clear on some foundational basics and building out your ecosystem, getting clarity on what it actually would look like. Before I jump into all this stuff, I really want to clarify, like, what is a movement? What do I mean when I say I'm building a movement? What do I mean when I say that Ocean will be like the home of the movement makers, right? Raising up other movement makers. So what do I mean by that? And I want to use a quick example of somebody called Ben Francis. So if you don't know Ben Francis, go follow him on social media. He's a phenomenal guy. I'm really inspired by his story. He's a guy that started Gymshark. So maybe you know Gymshark, maybe you don't. But his story is somebody that inspires me because he took something that's a physical product, like, hey, I'm going to create gym vests, gym clothing, a physical product for people in the gym. But I'm going to think broader than just selling t-shirts, right? There's something of weight and something of meaning behind this whole thing. It's actually a movement. And so they were starting Gymshark, and the way they did it was like, okay, I'm going to build this clothing brand. But it's not just building a brand. He had the end in mind that it's actually a whole movement, and the way they did it was just brilliant. And so they attached some weight and meaning behind the whole brand of Gymshark. And the way they did that was actually really using the clothing brand to speak into something that many people struggle with, which is mental health. So you would look at that and say, that's amazing, that's just clothing. But no, it's way more than just clothing. It's way more than just a brand. It's a movement helping solving mental health for people going through that, right? So I'm really inspired by something like that, because it's very few people that think like that. Most people start a business and they're just like, how do I sell more? How do I sell clothing? But there's not really a movement behind it. And so their marketing strategies was phenomenal. They did not focus on top tier professional athletes. They focused on everyday normal girls in the gym, men in the gym, serving them and actually sponsoring everyday athletes, and really focusing on using the gym culture to really solve mental health problems as well. And that's what I mean by starting a movement, right? It's way more than just a clothing or a brand. It's actually a movement. And that's the goal, which I feel like God is busy doing in the earth, is that ordinary people can come up with ideas and start serving a specific group of people in a specific way. And so it's like this micro community starting to pop up, and you can impact people in a way that only you can, with the story only you carry, right? So that's a practical example which I really find awesome. And so let's jump into it. When you design your movement ecosystem, I want you to know that you are at a very privileged position. Right now, I'm at a very privileged position because I get to decide what this movement looks like. If you are the founder and the leader of a movement, you get to decide what does this actually look like, right? And so you're gonna have to take the first week and take some time and really go to the deepest places of your own heart and your own mind and really decide, is this what I want to do and why do I want to do it? Because you get to decide what it looks like. You architect this movement from scratch. And that's an amazing, powerful place to be. So there's going to be 3 steps that I'm going to focusing on when you design your movement ecosystem. Number 1 is going to be just the foundations, clarity on the foundations. Secondly is going to be the clarity on your promise, and then the clarity on the process. So number 1 foundation is, before you build anything, I want you to connect with yourself and think, I'm going to be the leader and the founder of this movement. So what is my why? What is my personal why? Simon Sinek writes a book, Start With Why. I think it's brilliant. Why do I do this? It gives you purpose, because you don't want, when things get hard and things get tough and people don't like it and people reject you and all the stuff of the process, and you're going to be like, oh, just give up, right? It needs to be anchored in why. Why do you want to build this? So that's going to be the step 1, one of the foundation pillars. The second pillar of this foundation is, what is the DNA and the culture of the movement that you want to start? Like, what is the non-negotiable values that you want to put in as a foundation from the beginning, because you're going to build this house, you're going to build this movement. So what is your why and what is the non-negotiable values that you're going to build this movement on? So I had great fun this week just doing that and really going deep with my own heart and saying, what is my why? What's the culture of the movement? And what's the non-negotiable values that I want Ocean to be known as, and people get in touch with that will know exactly who we are and what we stand for. So number 2 is going to be, as I said, the clarity of the promise. So the promise is, who is this movement actually for? If I say, I promise you this, for who, right? Like, so who is this movement actually for? You want to get extremely clear on what we call in marketing terms your client avatar, right? Like, who's the main person you're solving, who you make a promise for, and whose problems you're solving. So who is this for? And what's the specific problem being solved and the transformation that is possible? So I want you to realize that before you think of all the ideas, because what we do, the issue we make, or the fault we make, mistake we make, is actually thinking, okay, this is the person, I'm going to solve them in this way. And we already decide how we're going to serve them, how we're going to solve their problems. And where it gets tricky is because is actually missing the whole mark, because we sometimes think we know what people need and then it's not what they need at all. And so there's few questions that you're going to have to ask to really get to the root thing of what people need. So you need to understand that they are actually crafting the solution. They will let you know what they need. So before you build this movement, be very sure to listen to those people and listen to their pain points. Now, it's not going to be difficult, because if there's someone who would really understand them, it's going to be you, right? But you have to ask these cute questions, and I'll just bring this up. So what is their struggle and their pain, and how are they describing their struggle and their pain? What circumstances are currently present in their lives, and what do they have that they don't want, right? What is the circumstances in their life that they don't want, and what do they not have that they do want? If we film them for a whole day, if you film that person for a whole day, what would the camera actually capture? What would you see, right? Then why haven't they been able to solve this problem already? So if your movement going to bring a solution, why haven't those specific people not been able to solve that problem by themselves? What is the missing links? What do they need? Let them tell you what they need, right? And so these questions are important, and the reason it's important, the why is it important, is because when you are the leader of this movement, you need to be able to understand them better than they understand themselves. You need to give language to what they've been feeling all the time, right? If you can articulate their pain, if you can articulate their desires and their solutions better than they could ever articulate it, then they will actually open up their heart and be like, oh man, this person gets me. And they will grant you influence. So Ocean is all about One Journey influencing nations. But what we need to understand is you don't just get influence. People grant you influence, right? Like, people need to give you influence into their life. And the way we do that is really understanding them. Understanding their pain, understanding their frustration, understanding what they need, and then saying, okay, now that I've heard what you want to say, here's what we're going to do about it. This is the movement I'm building to help you get from A to B, or how I serve you, right? So it's very important to ask those questions. And the great thing is this is where your story becomes so powerful. It becomes so powerful if you really tap deep into your own personal story, because it becomes the backbone, it becomes the strength of the movement, is your story. Because at the end of the day, people won't just connect with the movement that you're building. They actually want to connect with you. They want to connect with the movement maker. They want to connect with who you are and what you say and you as a person, right? And so if you understand your story and you are able to articulate, listen, I know exactly what you've been through because I have been here and here and here, right? And you articulate your own story, and people are going to be like, wow, this guy really knows what he talks about. He's been through the fire, he's been through the storm, and he's created something for me to help me get from A to B. right? So it's really powerful, and that is the promise. So number one, as we said, was the foundations. Get the foundations right. Number two is get clarity on the promise. What is the promise that you actually give them? What's the solution? For who is it that you're actually doing it, right? And then thirdly, that's where we actually start designing the ecosystem. Now we've decided who we want to be. We got some feedback on from their side. Who is it that, what do they actually need? And now we're gonna go like, okay, now I have all this information. I'm gonna start designing the ecosystem. I'm gonna design the solutions for their problems. And the amazing thing about an ecosystem is you can serve the same type of person, but at different stages of their journey. And you will see that really with what I've built with Ocean. And what I've done this week was really going deep into like, I understand you get some person that's at this stage of the journey, and then you get somebody that's at this stage of the journey, but it's the exact same person, it's just different places. And so I can't give people the same solutions because they are at a different stage, but it's the same DNA, it's the same person, right? And so you're going to serve people differently. You're going to different offers solving deeper problems at different stages of their journey. The greatest movement maker on the planet, the greatest person we all look up to, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, is the ultimate movement maker, right? Like he started with 12 men, and 2,500 years later, he's still the number one bookseller. We are so many thousands of Christians all over the world. He's still the number one leader. What I learned from him is that he did the exact same thing. He did not think I'm going to just build a church. He didn't come and just start one building, right? He was always thinking movement, and he was always thinking global. For God did not come just for some people, he came actually for the whole world. Let the whole world know. If you look at his movement maker strategies, he served different people at different stages. So he had the crowds, multiplying bread and fish and serving them and giving to the multitudes and signs, wonders, miracles, and serving them in a certain way. But then he had a specific group which called the 70, right? A smaller group of people that he was walking a road with, which eventually he was saying, go out and go do some miracle signs, wonders yourself, keep commissioning them. So it's a little smaller group. Then from the 70 he had 12, which he actually walked with daily, and those guys gave their lives, right? Like the cost of the guy that followed him in the 12 and the cost of somebody just being in the multitudes being fed by Jesus is two different costs. And that's really great understanding of I'm serving a specific person, a specific solution for where they're at. And then from the 12, you always get the 3. So it's in each stage of coming closer to him meant that there was a different accessibility, and there was a different cost of following him, and there was a different level of commitment. And that's a great way of developing an ecosystem. So some things might be for everyone, serving the masses, but then there might be some stuff that you're gonna be like, I'm gonna walk one-on-one with you. I'm gonna spend some personal time with you, and that's a different level of commitment, a total different level of cost for somebody. That's really powerful when we understand that the designing a movement ecosystem has different levels of cost and also commitment. So the process and what you're going to design is actually the how. So the way in which this problem gets solved. How are you actually going to be able to solve these people's pain and the stuff they go through? And that's where the designing of the ecosystem actually comes in, right? That's where you want to focus on. These are the 3 steps as first week that I really went deep on, something you can go think about with designing your movement ecosystem, what you want to build, what is the foundation, what is the person you want to solve, and how you're actually going to serve them, right? So as an example, I'm going to drop in a PDF of just everything, my thoughts, my articulation of the movement I'm building, One Journey Influencing Nations for movement makers. And I went through this specific process myself, put it all in a quick PDF for you. You can download it in the description of this video and really just read through what I've processed, read through what I've done for myself. So I will use this right now and then go to week 2, which is very exciting, which is actually authority positioning and then product planning. So we're gonna do some of the authority stuff. So there's websites, there's social positioning, and then actually the planning. Okay, what planning needs to go into actually build out this very solutions that I just mapped out on paper, right? At this stage, it's still mapped out on paper. It's a nice idea, but we're still in the building phase. We're gonna go over and say, let's get my positioning right, my communication right, and let's actually get a plan on when and how we're gonna build out this solution. So that's week one. At the end of week one, we're stepping into week two right now of building a movement in 12 weeks. I hope that excites you. I hope this inspired you. And I hope this makes you think that you have something to say that only you can say. You have something to build that only you can build. And there's people out there waiting for the solutions that only you carry. And so it's an exciting journey to just sit around and say, you know what, I get to decide what I want this to look like. I'm going to sit with God. I'm going to sit with my own heart. And I'm going to start writing down, if I had to serve the world, what would I say and what would I build and how will I do it? That's all about. And so this 12 weeks is exciting. If you like this video, if this inspired you, like and follow, and I'll see you next week by showing you what my next steps was and how you can follow this process of launching your movement in 12 weeks.